part 2. We're doing a lot of these part 2 car rants. Someone called me, so I just interrupted the feed. Oh, God bless people. Gotta get 2 phones or something. But anyway, though, so gratitude. Oh, okay. So this is where I was. So I was at a dark place where I was talking about people overdosing on drugs, trying to sleep, because that's what I imagine that I would have done if I had allowed myself to use drugs that could have killed me to try to sleep when I had insomnia, because it's just really effing miserable. And then also, like, it's not really as dark. This is the weird thing about insomnia, and also why I have like I have a great sense of humor too. Insomniacs always have a really good sense of dark humor for this reason, and it's purely because, like, the way everything gets on insomnia. So I'll make this video about gratitude, the way everything gets on insomnia. I'll just have a free associative rant tying these ideas together to be a nice part 2. If you like part 1, come in for part 2. If you're just tuning in now, there's going to be some good juicy details on what it feels like to have idiopathic treatment-resistant insomnia, and why I'm grateful to the giants who came before me, who laid forth the frameworks that allowed me to fix insomnia, and be here today to share this information with you guys. So, basically, oh yeah, so why insomniacs have a really, really good sense of humor. The reason insomniacs have a really, really good sense of humor is because of the nature of insomnia. Like, when you have idiopathic treatment-resistant insomnia and you're up for days on end, and you're just laying in bed, like, because you're laying in bed, you do, like, rest. Like, it's not like you're, like, it's not like you're, like, awake, like, having someone, like, beat you up for, like, weeks straight. Like, it's not like Navy SEAL Hell Week, because your body wouldn't be able to recover from that. And there is a lot of recovering your body can do when you're just laying down, not moving. Your body kind of goes to rest and digest mode and gets used to, like, this non-sleep mode of recovery that, like, doesn't really rest your brain, so your brain really hurts. It doesn't really rest your body the way it needs, so your hormones stop working and you feel hurt all the time. But, like, you don't die. So that's, like, a benefit. And you can walk around and reason, at least seemingly reason to a lot of people, but there's, like, this higher thought process thing is kind of cut off. Like, this ability to, like, filter information in some weird way is, like, not there. So it's almost like you're drunk, and it becomes really fun. I always thought, like, when I had, like, really long bouts of insomnia, I would have been, like, amazing at stand-up comedy. Like, I would have just been the best ever, because really what stand-up comedy is turning pain into comedy. And when I'm having a long bout of insomnia, there's, like, a surplus of pain. So all I need to do is turn it into comedy. And it's easy to do that because I'm in a free associative mode of being, and I also haven't blown my brains out yet. So I'm just, like, suffering, and I can't filter my thoughts, and all my thoughts are rationalizations as to why I should continue existing, which just ends up being, like, really funny. Like, I don't know, it just ends up, like, being this really muted sort of, like, dark humor where it's like I don't know, here's the example. So I'm driving on the road, and I, like, always think, like, wouldn't it be, like, really funny if, like, you drive, like, 1 mile an hour over the speed limit, and then, like, your car sends a signal to all the police in the area, and then they just, like, hunter-killer drones just drive, like, into your car. Like, they'll just hit Jersey barriers, flip, and just trying to, like, crash into your car, like this weird video game that's kind of like GTA used to play on, like, an iPod Touch. And they just, like, hit you. And, like, the main reason you don't want to speed is because the police are, like, kamikazes. And, like, I'm not laughing my head off right now because I don't have insomnia right now, but, like, if I had insomnia, I would, like, nail the delivery. Like, that would have been, like, the funniest thing you ever heard, ever. Like, I would have been, like, so, man, so, like, it's like I'm driving down this road and you're seeing these cars around me. Like, I can't do it right now because, like, I'm lacking this sense of deep pain. Like, it's sort of like, because when you have the bout of insomnia, like, you're just kind of like, it's like you're like Eeyore almost. Like, you're just kind of like going. You're just like, it's another day. Oh, look, there's a thorn in my paw. If probably has cancer, and the cancer has AIDS. The AIDS is probably going to hijack my brain and use my brain to kill my family and say a bunch of anti-Semitic things that are also really weirdly sexually degenerate all over the bathroom walls at the places I frequent, and then put photos of me doing it next to there before it shuts down my brain completely and I die. That'd figure, so people won't even miss me. Like, you just, I don't know, it's like the only negative aspect of thought becomes hyper-emphasized, but then, like, you're still alive, and, like, I don't know, like, you're training yourself to look at the good, because you're like, well, I have to fix this thing, and, like, I'm not dead, and, like, I don't know, I'm not like throwing up blood, and, like, I don't know, that'd be worse. People throw up blood, because you're already thinking, because you're so negative, you just keep thinking about how everything could get worse. You're like, oh, I probably have cancer. Like, I already thought when I was like 12, I'm like, I probably have cancer. Some kid in like my middle school died of cancer, and I was like, I probably have cancer. It's probably in my brain. That's probably why I can't sleep. And then I'm like, I just didn't die from cancer by the time I was like 16. And I'm like, holy shit, I'm not dead from cancer. I still can't sleep, but like, I thought I'd be dead by now. That's so cool. Like, literally, like, I literally, like, didn't, like, I just figured they'd find out, because, like, when you can't sleep for, like, days on end, too, like, everything bad seems infinitely more likely, and it's also, I just noticed that pattern, too, so it also becomes, like, not that hard in some way. I don't know, maybe I was just uniquely lucky to, like, develop a weird belief system as I was developing. I don't really know. I don't know why I was able to stick out the incredibly long periods of like a month without sleeping at all. That would happen throughout my life, with like the weeks on end of not sleeping and just never sleeping, hormones shutting down, throwing up, but just being in poor condition for various periods of time due to bouts of insomnia that I would then implement my sleep protocols to fix. And then I start sleeping again, and the insomnia come back, and I need more sleep protocols. So I just being a master of like beating back insomnia with sleep protocols. And it got to a point where the only time I could ever sleep, like this from like the age of like 16 to like 19, the only times I would sleep is when I would do these like elaborate sleep protocols that would involve like fasting for multiple days, then eating a ton of food, and then like it's just these weird like, then I do these other things after that to like keep myself sleeping. There's these weird systems of building sleep inertia and stuff that I would like implement to like start sleeping again. And yeah, so I just implement those, bring them back in, and that would be how I would start sleeping again. And my brain's kind of just like zenning out right now. It's about like literally an hour since I left jiu-jitsu, and I just like haven't eaten anything today. So an interesting observation is I just feel completely zen. I've like relaxed. Oh, I think I was talking about comedy, insomnia comedy. Oh, so I wouldn't like, it's easy to not blow your brains out though when you have like insomnia like that in some sense, because it's like, oh, so I just know that like, I'm like the second I'd sleep, I would just feel happy again. Like I'd just wake up and I'd be like, oh, I'm so happy today. I mean, at least like once I'd like, kind of like snapped out of the depression I had in middle school. But even the depression would just cycle based on the insomnia. So I'm like, how much am I even depressed, or do I just have insomnia? Like, and then other issues that once I like got healthier, I still had insomnia, but I was less depressed because I had less health issues. And it turns out how your brain feels is just how your body feels. So I just being very detached from like how I felt. So just like, oh, like I just kind of want to like jump off of a bridge right now and have people like shoot me with a bunch of like arrows while I burst into flames and explode. But it's like, it wasn't like, there was no energy behind it, because there's no energy behind anything. I was just kind of like in this like derped out state of like, like just, I guess I'm here. Not gonna be able to do much till I sleep, because all I can do is think about like, it'd be like literally like when you have like insomnia, like the worst it gets, you can only think about things for like 2 minutes at a time. So like, I have to keep thinking about this, because if I stop thinking about it and it's not written down on my arm, I'm going to forget. So it just become like stupid. I would just like walk in, like I'd have like these periods of time where I had like bouts of insomnia, or I'd just walk circularly between rooms. Like I'd walk out of one room and be like, wait, why did I just walk into this room? They'd walk into the other room, like, oh, they'd walk me in the bed. Oh, why did I just keep doing it? I just keep walking. It's like 5 days without sleeping. I do like 7 times. I just start writing stuff down on my arm. I'd be like, okay, well, this is how I'm going to get out of the loop because I don't even remember what I'm doing. Because you know what I mean? Like, it's not even like in like a terrible sense. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, as you go throughout the day, you don't realize about how crazy you are because you can use mental energy to overcome it. Or if you meditate, you realize because you become aware. Or if you have insomnia, you realize because you no longer have the mental energy to overcome it. So then you just default to like baseline consciousness while your brain does crazy things that are mostly insane. And so literally like back to, you're not aware of your brain. So right now, like I'm driving right now and I'm kind of maintaining a stream of consciousness that's like telling me where to go. I'm not using a GPS to get anywhere. And I'm talking to you guys and I'm maintaining awareness of my body and breathing and stuff. So there's kind of like 3 things going on. I'm like, what do I kind of need to do today? Like just to kind of maintain awareness of like my schedule a little bit. I'm driving to my house and I'm also talking to you guys about this stuff, and I'm keeping this train of thought in my mind at the same time. I'm also kind of like checking on my phone. So like, is my phone plugged in? I got my phone still recording. Okay, there's nothing weird going around me while I'm driving. Got my tea in my hand. Like, you have all these things going. You don't realize, and that's just baseline. I mean, there's also like that movie you saw last week. There's like that weird sex thing that like you heard about, like A Little Too Young, and like you think about it every 3 months. It doesn't bother you too much, but it just comes up every now and again, and you're not sure how you're gonna like tell your kids about it when they ask you. Like all these little things have energy that's trying to be expressed to your consciousness. And the longer you haven't slept, the less energy you have, less healthy you are, the less energy you have to suppress those things and maintain one train of thought. So once you haven't slept for like 5 days, you're basically schizophrenic because you're just like your thoughts don't make any sense. It's just this train of thought that's following like who knows what, some human tendency that you can't articulate. And you have to do things because you have a body, and you keep being reminded of that because of the thought loops. And now you have to like walk with your legs between rooms with things in your hands and clothes on, because you have to remember to keep those on when you're in the bathroom. Because if you leave the bathroom with clothes on when they're off, when there are people at your, like, all this stuff stops being automatic deep into not sleeping. So then you consciously start imposing it on yourself, and you're just in this weird state of being. That's why it's so good for comedy. I'll just bring it back around to that, and I'll wrap the video up because my brain's getting a little tired because I just want to eat some food, and I'm just thinking about that. That train of thought's becoming dominant, and it's pushing through my food-deprived, jujitsu-taxed brain. Guys, like these themes, this is what God Engine's going to be about in some transcendent sense. I tie all this together, and I tell us how to build a utopian world. Oh, it's going to be so good. It's the foundation of my cult. It's going to be a good cult, though, because what I realize is that if you build a cult on mastery, then it's a good cult. Like, a good cult built on mastery is just an effective company. Like, that's just General Electric as run by Thomas Edison. It's just like, yo, I've mastered electricity, so now we can just like sell this stuff. Well, let's just use systems to sell the stuff that I've spent ages mastering. It only becomes manipulative when you don't have some proprietary thing that has immense value. Like, or like something that, you know, like there's like a diamond mine that we could fight over the mine, but I feel very secure in talking about being a cult and in starting a cult. Because, like, what are you gonna do? Like, you can't, like, kill me and take the power of the cult, because, like, the power of the cult is the fact that I know how to fix insomnia, which is just something that I have to teach myself how to articulate, because it's just this intuitive knowledge embedded in my nervous system, because that's just what mastery is. So, like, yeah, I don't know. Like, basically just how it goes. So anyway, yeah, that's gonna be the basis of my cult, is that system which teaches you how to maximize energy to maintain coherency of thoughts and being. Even that inertia, I think, maintains your DNA structure. It's really, I got a lot of crazy ideas about this. I'm probably insane, like, but in like a cool genius way where people like write about it. Like, you know, like John Nash, like, I've literally, okay, I think about this, like, this is what I mean, like the comedy stuff. It gets into like comedy because I have these like dark thoughts I've like thought about. Like, I literally, like, I believe that I need to learn more about health and the brain than anyone else, because I don't know what happened to my brain all those years of not sleeping. So I'm just kind of a little paranoid that I'm going to like develop like, you know, like Aang in Avatar: The Last Airbender, where he's like in the Avatar state for like 50 years. and he just dies when, like 100 years, and he just dies when he's like 40 for like no reason, because that would just taxed him a bunch, and it wasn't an issue until he was 40. I'm like, okay, well, I don't want something like that to happen to me, so I have to like maximize my health across every metric while also understanding the fundamentals of the health conditions that lead to aging, so that I can optimize those systems to keep myself very healthy while understanding that I'm healthy, so that I can like live and be with my loved ones for a long time. But that being said, that's kind of just like, I in some sense conceptualize myself as a system driving for this sort of mastery, and people will benefit. So that's also, let's tie it back together. This is why I call my book The God Engine. I mean, let's just put it all here. I'll just make this God Engine part 1 and 2. It's the announcement, God Engine part 1 and 2. It's a story. It's a beautiful story. It's I mentioned a lot of people in it. I'll credit them more thoroughly later, but everyone I've mentioned has helped me tremendously. And I'll share 2 quotes as I arrive near my house. Here are the 2 quotes. My compatriots who've watched these videos and share these ideas with me in this moment in time. It's still a moment in time, because if our entire civilization collapsed and the internet was destroyed, no one would ever find these videos. So it's still quite miraculous that you exist at the small period of time where you can view my thoughts. And I think that of Nietzsche and everyone who has a book that I can read, even if they be long dead, for I still can read their books, and there are many who I cannot, and they exist outside that moment. So, into the wild abyss, the womb of nature, and perhaps her grave, of the neither sea nor shore nor air nor fire, but of all their pregnant causes mixed, and thus must ever fight confusedly, until the Almighty Maker them ordain his dark materials with which to create more worlds. Verily the wary fiend stood on the brink of hell, pondering his voyage, but no small matter he had to cross. I don't know if I quoted that correctly, but it's kind of the general idea. It's a quote that inspired me deeply, inspired his Dark Materials, the series that then shared this idea that I will now share with you. It's a very beautiful idea, and I'd love to share it with you. It's kind of a tragic idea too. It is this idea that it is in the sequel to his Dark Materials, the sequel series, The Book of Dust Part 2, and it's this boy and his demon, his soul, are separated their entire life. He is water, his demon, I believe, is fire, or vice versa. He burns constantly and she constantly freezes. They are opposites who are held apart lest they destroy themselves in reunion, and then eventually they come together at like the age, he's a grown man now, his entire life has been suffering. He is reunited with his long lost soul, and they are both engulfed immediately in a burst of steam that is intook into an engine, and the engine chugs to life. And Lyra, the main character, looks at the man who's running the show, looks at him and says, "That's cruel." She says that in a British accent. "That's cruel, ain't it? His whole life's just suffering. And for what? What purpose?" And the man looks at her and he says, "The boy is my son. I designed him and I designed his entire life. His purpose was to start my engine. He should be grateful he has a purpose. Most suffer without one. That is life, girl." Suffering doesn't preclude you from the meaning that is the human experience, which gives our life on earth value. It's not pleasure that gives our life value. It's not pleasure we remember when we're dying. It's not regret of our suffering we remember when we're dying. It's the meaning that we created, the purpose. My purpose is to start the God Engine. The God Engine is the framework that I've created to start the cycles that lead to sleep. On every level of the body, I believe that there are cycles, there are systems that feed back into themselves, that become stagnated and blocked, inhibited and disused, weakened and unsupported, unbuilt and yet unrealized, that create the conditions that lead to sleep now, repair now, and in the future, and that create the inertia that will continue the pattern. That's all we are. We are pattern with inertia On a chemical level, any chemist will tell you, any physicist will tell you that we're a pattern with inertia. The patterns, the systems, the engine that fuels sleep, and that I believe may even fuel our very being. I think I may have tapped something much more primal, much deeper, much more fundamental to our health with my frameworks. I think that in some egotistical sense, like I said from my other videos, I'm an egomaniac who's probably lost his mind. I believe that I've solved nutrition, or at least created the system that will begin the solving of nutrition. I think I've created the periodic table of elements of food, and I call it the God engine. I think that this engine will lead to greater health in society than we have ever seen. We have the wealth now to provide everyone with the food that they need and the resources they need to maximize their brain function, if we only knew what. And it's not a matter of what, it's a matter of a system and a way of thinking that I believe that I've mastered that system and way of thinking. I know I've mastered a system and way of thinking that defeats insomnia, but I believe that same system may be the larger system. And I call that system the God engine. And I believe that the purpose of my life, I hope the purpose of my life, is to start the God engine. And it's deeper than an idea. It's a feedback loop. Because once people use these ideas to maximize their health, their metabolisms, and therefore their brain function, their minds will work so well, they will create a new world of possibility in which the idea of the God engine, upon which that world will be founded and made possible through, without which the metabolism leading to the brain function, leading to the ideas and the maintenance thereof would not be possible. That society will spread my work throughout all time and all space, and insomnia will be no more. Maybe other conditions will come about, other things we don't understand, but not that kind of insomnia. That kind of insomnia caused by that very personal demon. That demon that maybe it's not just my demon alone. I don't think it's just my demon. I think it's a universal demon, but he marked me, and so I marked him. That insomnia demon is going to die with my boot on his neck. And the instrument for his death is the God engine. May there be no stagnation. May there be glory and triumph. And may people never lose sight of everything that they can do. Maybe you look at the cars we drive. Look at the cathedrals of Europe. Look at this crazy society that we've built that 300 years ago could not have been imagined. 500 years ago couldn't have been imagined. And the society 500 years ago couldn't have been imagined 1,000 years ago. And the society 1,000 years ago could not have been imagined 10,000 years ago. That this pattern of human beings believing in themselves, believing in their potential, and working to better themselves the way we all can, and that few of us choose to do, that this pattern will increase and more people will be inspired. More people will realize that the difference between them and greatness starts with belief and ends with habit. And on that note, tune in tomorrow.